Design can be hard, but I have come to realize that laying out text properly is a large portion of what makes something look clean, and is the easiest thing you can do sometimes to make a design nicer looking and more usable. As a design's content defines the intention of the copy, the typography defines emotion, voice, and message, and as the designer, we want this to be done as effectively and in the most cohesive way we can. It is imperative for typography to embrace the responsiveness of the design to ensure that the content is not only legible, but appealing on any device that might be used to view it. Deciding what the best set of typefaces one will use is a very important part of any design. Most often, designers' typeface choices lie between serif and sans serif. The difference between these two at their core is not a complex matter, but the choice behind which one is chosen to represent a design very well could be. Serif fonts are typefaces that have serifs, or extra strokes and flourishes at the end of the letters. These typefaces evoke feelings of history, tradition, honesty, and integrity. Sans serif fonts are typefaces that do not have these extras on the end of their letters. Sans serif fonts are considered modern and more minimal than serif fonts and are known to have better legibility. It is good to remember that human beings have an innate response to anthropomorphize non-human entities, or applying human characteristics and emotions to things that are distinctly non-human, such as logos or typography style choices. We as humans respond to visual culture in an emotional way, and designers have the ability to manipulate the psychological responses of their viewers by making informed choices about the features of a design, such as color and font choices. Applying this in marketing is becoming a very important field of research and practice for branding and advertising. For example, a bank that wants to communicate a sense of stability and heritage to its customers may opt for a traditional serif font, while a tech startup may choose a futuristic sans serif font to encourage customers to perceive them as innovative and forward-thinking. The typographic scale is one of the basic foundations of typography. A classic scale is a collection of font sizes that are in visual harmony. The size of body copy should not depend on the designer's personal preference, but rather the reader's quote-unquote distance from the screen. Consider a desktop or a laptop's distance from a reader compared to the distance between a smaller screen, such as a tablet or a mobile phone, from the reader. The size of the body copy needs to be larger, as does the rest of the content on a desktop or a laptop than on smaller devices. When considering a widescreen display, it is ideal to have large side margins compared to a narrow display, such as a smartphone, wherein a smaller side margin looks better in order to facilitate larger line lengths, which improves readability and allows for less cramped copy. It is important to consider a few CSS features for responsive design and typography. Media queries are your friend. The size of type font should vary for each type of display that the site will be viewed on. The clamp function is another. This function takes on three values: a minimum for minimum font size, a maximum for maximum font size, and a preferred, which determines how fluid it scales starting and ending points of fluid behavior and change speed. This value will depend on the viewport size. Clamp is a very flexible function and can be applied to any attribute and can be used beyond typography and sizing. Typography is the basis of what makes copy reading experiences accessible. Keeping that in mind, along with the many ways to enact it successfully, will allow for enhanced legibility for people who wouldn't normally easily read a page, to experience an enhanced experience and improved literacy on a website. Using headings correctly to organize the structure of content is paramount. Screen readers can use this structure to navigate content, so by using headings, such as H1, H2, and so forth, correctly and strategically will ensure that the content of a website will be well organized and easily interpreted. In the same vein, it is a good idea to create new CSS classes to style text rather than simply choosing a header because it looks good visually. Link text should be written with intention and meaning. It should describe the destination and should make sense when read out of context. For example, a good link shouldn't say, "Click here to visit the University of Arlington website." It should say, "Visit the University of Arlington website." Further, link text should all be unique when on the same page unless they have the same destination. In other words, do not have multiple contact us links going to contact details for different teams. Next up, we have typography in relation to form design. Hick's law is a good rule of thumb to keep in mind when designing a form. It states that as our number of choices increases, so does our time spent trying to make a decision. It is a wise choice to emphasize call to actions. In order to eliminate uncertainty, you can try to answer the question, "I want to," from the user's perspective. For example, if it's an inquiry form for a service, it could be request my free consultation. With changing trends and evolving technology, it is unsurprising that existing features are improved upon. The dark mode is one of these. Dark mode is a darker theme that emits low levels of white light while still keeping a high level of usability. It achieves this by using dark grays and desaturated colors. Users expect a product or website to offer a dark mode experience now. It has become a baseline feature. There are two things that are especially important for readability in dark mode: font weight and color. White text generally looks bolder than the same black text. The surrounding light might blur over the edges of black text, which makes it appear thinner in comparison to light creating white text may blur over the letter shapes, making white text appear bolder. The von Restorff effect theory states that people are more likely to remember the outlying thing when presented with a list of similar items that include one unique, isolated item. Many of us are visual beings and by default, visual learners. Using the von Restorff effect to highlight important information among a group of similar information is a critical visual tool to improve our experience. It can relieve the anxiety of sifting through multiple visual communication pieces to find the most relevant detail. For online retailers and e-commerce businesses, the von Restorff effect can be used to highlight discounts or change in price or products. In the field of communication technology, such as designing websites, building websites, a user's experience when visiting websites, including accessibility, and all the way to brand design and so on, is inevitably going to cross a point wherein the designer/coder/researcher will have to make decisions involving typography. Whether that be layout, how to make copy responsive on different viewing displays, how the brand will be represented by different typefaces, how the user would respond to different typefaces and design layouts, and so on. It is crucial to the success and response of a website and is absolutely something that any dedicated communication technology major/professional in that field should consider at some point in their experience.